So, I want to say something to my YouTube channel. I'm trans. My name is Chance, and I've known I was trans for as long as I knew what it was. Uh, for a long time, I've been in denial about it. It was a difficult thing for me to come to terms to because it was always seen as like a bad thing where I'm from. It was always seen as something to be ashamed of or something that wasn't right. Uh, I've had all kinds of people around me say that it's disgusting, it's a mental illness, it's not something that you should be. So I stayed in the closet for as long as I could until I finally came to terms with it. I came out in September of 2018 to my family and friends, which felt amazing. It was such a euphoric experience because I was finally being called what I am, a boy. Uh, I I knew from such a young age that I was a boy. I'd constantly tell my parents, I'm a boy. Uh, Even after they told me what the difference was between a boy and a girl, I would not, I could not accept the fact that I wasn't born a boy. I, I always wore boys' clothing. I always wanted to play with the other boys. I always wanted to be a boy, to the point where I would feel great when my dad would take me to the men's bathroom before I was able to go to the bathroom on my own because I wanted to use the same bathroom as other boys would. It led to a lot of isolation as a child. I had very little friends in elementary school because I was kind of an antisocial kid who kept to myself because I didn't know how to interact with girls, and a lot of the boys didn't want to talk to me because of my biological sex, which led to me spending most of my like recesses or classes alone, or even me getting bullied as a child, which led to one of the most uncomfortable stages of my life. That being first grade to fourth grade, where I would let my mom pick out the most feminine clothes for me and like have her dress me, which was an absolute disaster. And it sucked. It sucked big time. I think I was probably the most depressed, besides like my early teen years, than that I've ever been in my entire life. I hated wearing anything pink. I hated wearing anything sparkly. I wanted to wear the same like football jerseys and basketball jerseys and graphic tees as the other boys because I was a boy. I didn't want to wear those stupid like sassy monkey t-shirts or whatever. I didn't want to wear those same sparkly tees that you could get at a Kmart at the time. I wanted to look like a boy. I wanted short hair. I wanted to play sports. I wanted to do everything else that the other boys were doing. Unfortunately, due to the fact that I was assigned female at birth, I couldn't. And this sucked so bad. I can't tell you how much it sucked for me growing up. I learned what being trans was through things like Family Guy and South Park, which was not good. It was not good for me because it led me to think that there were only male to female trans people and there were no such thing as female to male. So I felt like me wanting to be a man was not right. I resonated with them saying like, "Oh, I'm a woman in a man's body," even though it was the opposite for me. It was hard to figure out what I was in my early teen years because I didn't know if I was gay, bi, straight, anything, because I had no idea what FTM trans was. I didn't learn until I finally got my first smartphone and started browsing the internet, and I met some FTM people. I saw some FTM people on the internet. And that's when things started to really click for me, because I was finally seeing an identity that I really, really resonated with. But since I grew up in a very conservative town, conservative state, as you can see, former Governor Mike Pence up there, it was hard for me to actually come to terms with what I was, because I didn't want to get bullied again. I didn't want to be ousted again. I didn't want to have to deal with all of that comes with being trans and open about it. So I stayed in the closet for as long as I could. I tried to justify my admiration for men through romantic attraction, even though I never felt that way about them. I dated guys or had crushes on guys that I wanted to be like. I didn't actually want to be with them. I wanted to be them. As ridiculous as that sounds. I dealt with my dysphoria by hanging out with other guys, but there were always some things that they said where it was just so uncomfortable for me. Like, I have this very specific memory where I was with a couple of my friends. One of them were playing Minecraft on their old iPad, and they were like, yo, what if Steve could break his balls? That would hurt a lot. And they turned to me and they're like, but you wouldn't get that because you're not a guy. As much as I didn't show it, it fucking hurt. That hurt me a lot to hear that. And I didn't know why at the time, because I was only like 11. I had no idea what being trans was. I just knew that what he said hurt me, and I just wanted to be seen like the other guys. So, but now, like, fast forward to when I was like 15, 16, I was finally coming to terms and doing research on what being trans was. I started watching channels like Calvin Guerra, Storm Ryan, Ty Turner, Jamie Dodger. However, I forgot how to pronounce his name and I feel bad. But, like, all these channels that I watched, they helped me figure out what I was feeling and helped me came to the conclusion that I was trans. But I didn't want to come to terms with that. I didn't want to come out through fear of getting ostracized. So I just kept to myself, maybe brought it up with my best friend a couple times, and that's it. I didn't talk to my parents about it, I didn't talk to my therapist about it, I didn't talk to my psychiatrist about it. I just wanted to keep to myself and experiment with it a little bit longer. I ended up cutting my hair short about a year before I came out, and that felt amazing. That was like a religious experience. I really enjoyed having my hair cut short and being mistaken for a boy. I asked my friends about it later after I came out, and they were like, we definitely knew something was up after you got your hair cut. And after I got my hair cut, I would get on, like, dating websites, which was like MyLol, which was like a teen social media, which people just use as a dating site. But I got on there, made an account as a male, and it felt so good to have people calling me like a handsome and everything. It was amazing. It felt the best. So after I experimented for like a year, I decided that it was time to come out. I first came out to my best friend, and then after I talked to a trans friend that I made that school year, and after I talked to him about like what dysphoria feels like and how I think I'm feeling dysphoric, uh, and then he was like, "Yeah, you're most definitely trans." So after I got that validation, I came out to my best friend. I came out to a few of my close friends, and also one closeted trans friend because I knew he would support me. Uh, and that following week, when I came out, it just felt so good to hear my friends calling me like the proper names and pronouns in the chat. It gave me the courage to actually come out to my family that weekend, uh, because I really wanted to be called Chance and he, him at both of my houses. I wanted to be called what I am. So I came out to my parents through text, and one of the first things my dad asked me was, "How do you have sex?" He wasn't like, "Oh, how do you know that you're trans? How do you know this about yourself? How did you learn it?" No, he wanted to know how the hell I was going to have sex as a trans man, which I thought was hilarious. Uh, but my parents overall were very accepting of me being trans, and that was amazing. I was finally getting to where I wanted to be with my comfort. My family instantly started seeing me become more confident. I started being more talkative, getting out more, a lot less depressed, and it was a great experience for me, which I'm grateful for because not every trans guy or trans person gets to have a similar accepting community around them. And I'm really glad that I came out because now I get to go do fun things with trans friends. I met a bunch of cool trans people online. I helped somebody realize that they were trans. And I've just had this great sense of community since I've come out. And it just makes me feel so much more comfortable in this world. And it's amazing. I love it. It's the best. But I still constantly have that fear that I'm not going to be happy because I'm not cisgender. I still feel like I could be unhappy with myself even after all the surgeries, all the hormones, after everything. Like, I feel like after getting bottom surgery, I'll be like, what now? I'm still not satisfied. And that's gonna suck if that happens. And that's my constant fear with me being trans. I don't fear being, like, a detransitioner because I know with full confidence that I need to transition. I know that I won't be able to live as a woman. That is uncomfortable for me. I've tried it for 17 years, did not work. It's not something I'm happy with. So I just wanted to come out, just talk, because one, I need to just kind of get it all out and be completely out. And I want to help make some people's transitions are easier. Like, I'm a trans guy on a budget. Like, I don't have very much money, I don't have a job, and I would like to give tips to those who are also on a budget, such as growing facial hair pretty, taking care of your skin and stuff while binding, taking care of yourself while binding, and all that. So, I guess this is it, and thank you guys for watching. I'm grateful for whoever watched, and I hope you stick around to see the rest of my journey. Bye.